Well, hello there. This is Virtuals the Chess Noob, learning and having fun with chess. My merch, mugs, shirts, and watches at my store, chessnoob64.com. Now, this game was a pretty good game of the Vienna, which I had. However, as I was making this video, I reflected that, I've got an experience that I think is quite common for a lot of people at the beginner intermediate level. I've recently have had a run of losses at my peak in Rapid in chess.com. I was about in the mid 1400s. Currently, I'm just under 1300s, pretty much the lowest I've been for quite a while. And one of the things that has occurred as I'm playing games now that I've sort of realized recently is that I've sort of lost a bit of confidence. And this really occurred actually in this game. And let's see sort of what happened. Now, I have the white pieces, and as usual, when I can, I play the Vienna. So e4, e5, knight c3. And in this game, my opponent, and this was a 10-minute game of Rapid with 5-second increment, which I played on Lichess, they led with c6. And I've played enough of the Vienna to know that this is an inaccuracy. Pretty much we can immediately take, they capture, we capture back with queen, and they can't really even do anything about it because their pawn is kind of in the wrong place. Now here the opponent plays their knight, very sensible looking. It's actually also an inaccuracy. This is why this is not a good response. If you were sort of freestyling a response to Vienna, you're probably not going to find a queen f6. Now here, what I should do is actually immediately attack the knight. So I decide to just develop my bishop, look at the f7 pawn. But you can see Stockfish says attack the knight. Why is that? Well, attack the knight. The knight pretty much doesn't really have any good places to go. The most logical place is probably here. And then we immediately basically just trade. And we're just a lot better, basically, than black. However, I didn't really want to play that. So here, there we go. We sort of develop the bishop. Stockfish calls that a mistake because the other line is a bit better. But, setting things up, taking advantage of my developmental advantage is not, it's good for the middle game. So they decide to push a flank pawn. That is, again, a mistake because it slows things down. Immediately attacking the bishop here is good, and that's possibly why it's not so good for the bishop to be there. General idea, if you put your bishop in the opening, in a place where black can immediately attack the pawn, it's probably not the best move. I develop my other knight. You can see Stockfish still reckons attacking the opponent's knight is best. They attack the bishop, and here I pull back. And here, potentially looking at that h7 pawn, and especially if black ends up casting kingside, that potentially can be quite good. We can potentially have a Greek gift sacrifice. Now here in the opening, I was okay. Playing fairly quickly, opponents blitzing out moves as well. Hadn't had sort of a crisis of confidence yet. They developed their sort of knight to the edge of the board. Again, kind of makes sense, but they're trying to develop pieces, but moving that pawn, and so developing the knight here is probably better. I now short castles. Here they push their knight forward, but they've got no other development. That was not a correct move. You can see Stockfish says, make the best of that knight move. Move the knight here is better. And here, I just push a pawn. Stops that development. Discovered attack on that knight. And again, I think because black is just blitzing out moves, barely thought about that. Here, they probably thought they had a double attack on my f2 pawn. They probably thought I had to move the queen. Well, I do have to move the queen, except, of course, their knight is hanging. So that was a blunder. Capture the knight. Here I was very happy. Knew I was potentially winning. Also, chain attacks on the g-pawn. What's black going to do? Black, of course, short castles. Now, that's a blunder. Their best move is actually king to f8. Very difficult to see. They short castles. And here, because I was already sensitized to the possibility of a Greek gift sacrifice, I knew that this was good. And basically, bishop captures a pawn with check, and then, either the queen or the knight jumps forward with check, then the other piece jumps forward, and then there is a potential mating attack. So here I knew I was completely winning. So bishop takes, there we go, knight jumps forward with check, king goes back, and now queen to h5, immediate checkmate threat. Here, I knew theoretically that black has to trade their queen for my knight to avoid an immediate checkmate threat. They, however, played the rook to e8, giving some space here. And here, again, theoretically, I wrote a book about this, in fact, 50+2, chess quick wins, tactical ideas for exciting chess for beginner players, now available on Amazon. I've got a whole section on the Greek gift sacrifice. So I knew that there is a mate here. But, with my sort of recent string of losses, I was a bit stressed playing this game. You can see, Stockfish can see a mate in 5. I couldn't calculate where the mate was. And initially, I was sort of looking here, king goes there, then you go here, and then a king escapes here. And I thought, where's the mate? I can't see the mate. And then obviously when the king moves, there's a sort of a discovered attack on the queen. So I was freaking out a little bit here. And sort of with that, I started getting a lot of sort of negative self-talk that maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there isn't a checkmate here. Have I stuffed something up? Now, after a minute of this, I decided, look, I can always just take this. That will be obviously with check. King has to come here. Queen can go back with check. Look, that can't be wrong, is what I'm saying, because I just get back into the same position. So after a minute, I decided, look, I just have to do that first, so I don't lose any more time. So take. You can see a minute went down. King, forced move. Queen back here. Check. King there. And here, once again, I start freaking out. Where is my mate? And I was trying to calculate, do I just force a draw? That doesn't seem to make any sense. But here with check, and where do I go afterwards? King goes here, check, and then, force, and the interesting thing here is that after the game, when the pressure was off, I found it really easily. Basically, this is what you have to do. Check. King is forced to go here. Remember, the knight covers that square. That's a forced move. So queen here, check. King forced here. That is a forced move. So king here, check. And here, it's mate. Because king can't go here, can't go here, can't go here, can't go here, here, or there, because covered. Okay, so that is mate. And it's not that hard to see because, of course, every move with check, the king has only a single forced move. However, for some reason, I just couldn't see it in the game. I was kind of freaking out. And after a minute and a half of, again, sort of this self-doubt, I actually just convinced myself that there wasn't a checkmate. And the weird thing is that I intellectually knew there was one, because I wrote a whole section in a book on it. So after that, look, I just couldn't let the time run out. So I thought, look, I'm just going to bring another piece into the attack because that can't be wrong, I suppose. So I play knight forward, knight ce4. Bring a knight into attack. You can see obviously that was the right move, which I showed you. Now here it's an inaccuracy. It's not a blunder because technically I still have a mate. It's a little bit longer. Now black takes, and in this point, with the knight sort of covering there and thinking that, oh look, I've got a potential sort of check here, and the knights are now very trappy, I actually saw a much more complicated line, which is completely silly, which is check, king moves, check, forced move here, and of course here, check, and now the king does have an escape, which is here because the rook isn't there anymore, and here, of course, this is straight up mate. Queen to f7 is checkmate. But I had convinced myself there was no mate. And in fact, I saw that here, that would be a check. Everything is covered. So that forces black to trade their queen. So check, takes, attack on the rook. And here, it's interesting. Again, I just saw this in the analysis right afterwards. Now here, black blunders. What they should do is to defend the rook with that pawn, and that also now potentially gives the queen an escape, down that way as well. Now they, however, move the rook all the way back to e7, which is a blunder. I didn't necessarily expect that, but here I saw, look, isn't that back rank mate? Yes, it's back rank mate because that square is covered by the rook. I gave a mate, and I just felt relief. Rather than feeling elated, I just felt relief that the game was over. Analysed the game afterwards, and I found that, what was I doing? Of course there is a forced checkmate there with that Greek gift sacrifice. If black does not trade their queen for the knight, it's mate. Now, the big takeaway from this game is, of course, that specific checkmate pattern, that line in the Greek gift sacrifice. But potentially the other major takeaway message is that it's okay to take a break from the game every now and then. I've been, trying to really sort of make a lot of this content recently. I'd been a little bit stressed out with my loss of ELO and also some of the loss of rating. And what I really needed to do is to actually just to get back, take a break, and remember that I play the game for enjoyment and to make these videos for enjoyment. I hope you enjoyed this video, and thanks for watching.